indirect tax that was introduced in 2004. The objective behind the levy is to mitigate tax evasion as the same is taxed at source. SDD is a kind of turnover tax where the investor has to pay a small tax on the total consideration paid or received in a share transaction. Hence, Statement 1 is not correct and 2 is correct. OSDD is levied on every purchase or sale of securities that are listed on the Indian stock exchanges. This would include shares, derivatives or equity-oriented mutual funds units. The rate of tax that is deducted is determined by the central government, and it varies with different types of transactions and securities. In India, SDD is collected by the stock exchanges. However, SDD is not applicable in certain cases like preference shares, government securities, gold exchange-traded funds, etc. SDD is also not applicable for any off-market transaction. Hence, Statement 3 is correct. Q34.co convectional rain, the air, on being heated, becomes light and rises up in convection currents. As it rises, it expands and loses heat, and consequently, condensation takes place and cumulus clouds are formed. With thunder and lightning, heavy rainfall takes place, but this does not last long. Such rain is common in the summer or in the hotter part of the day. It is very common in the equatorial regions and interior parts of the continents, particularly in the northern hemisphere. Orographic rain, when the saturated air mass comes across a mountain, it is forced to ascend, and as it rises, it expands, the temperature falls, and the moisture is condensed. The chief characteristic of this sort of rain is that the windward slopes receive greater rainfall. After getting rain on the windward side, when these winds reach the other slope, they descend, and their temperature rises. Then their capacity to take in moisture increases, and hence, these leeward slopes remain rainless and dry. The area situated on the leeward side, which gets less rainfall, is known as the rain shadow area. It is also known as the relief rain. Q35.co The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister, has recently approved the proposal of Department of School Education and Literacy to formulate the integrated scheme for school education. It will subsume Sarva Shiksha at PNSSA Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha at PNRMSA and Teacher Education TE from 1st April 2018 to 31st March 2020. An estimated allocation of Rs 75,000 crore over the period has been approved, which is a 20% increase over the current allocations. So the scheme comes in the backdrop of PM's vision of Sadko Shiksha, Big High Shiksha, and aims to support the states in universalizing access to school education from classes pre-nursery to XII across the country. Q36.ao During Sher Shah as rainlands were to be measured at every harvest, and revenue was to be received according to the measurement and in proportion to the produce. Land was measured using the Shikandri Gazette, and a jarak of rope was the standard unit of measurement. 1/3 of the average produce per biga of land was the state revenue average of good, bad, and middling lands produce. The peasants was given a pada title deed and kabilia deed of agreement, which fixed the peasant rights and taxes. In addition to the land revenue, the cultivators were also required to pay certain additional cesses such as charabana or the surveyor's fee and muhasilana for the tax collector's fee at the rate of 2.5 and 5% of the land revenue respectively. 10 www.visionative.in Copyright Vision IAS. Q37.ao The World Happiness Report is a survey of the state of global happiness where countries are judged on the happiness quotient. The 2018 report consists of 156 countries where they are ranked on their happiness levels. India is at 133rd position on a list of 156. The report has been monitored by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. The report ranks the countries on the basis of social support, social freedom, life expectancy, corruption. Q38.co There are 4 devices of direct democracy, namely, referendum, initiative, recall, and plebiscite. A referendum is a procedure whereby a proposed legislation is referred to the electorate for settlement by their direct votes. Initiative is a method by means of which the people can propose a bill to the legislature for enactment. A recall is a method by means of which the voters can remove a representative or an officer before the expiry of his term, when he fails to discharge his duties properly. A plebiscite is a method of obtaining the opinion of people on any issue of public importance. It is generally used to solve the territorial disputes. Q39. The O pair 1 is correctly matched. 38th parallel is the name given to latitude 38 degrees that in East Asia roughly demarcates North Korea and South Korea. The line was chosen by U.S. military planners at the Potsdam Conference July 1945 near the end of World War II as an army boundary. The line was intended as a temporary division of the country, but the onset of the Cold War led to the establishment of a separate U.S.-oriented regime in South Korea under Syngman Rhee and communist regime in North Korea under Kim Il-sung. The Korean War 1950-53 came to the stalemate roughly along the 38th parallel. A demilitarized zone DMZ was created by pulling back the respective forces along each side of the boundary. The areas north and south of the DMZ are heavily fortified, and both sides maintain large contingents of troops there. Joe Heritage is correctly matched. The 49th north parallel of latitude forms the boundary between Canada and USA. Joe Hare 3 is not correctly matched. 17th parallel, the provisional military demarcation line established in Vietnam by the Geneva Accord 1954. Q40. The O statement 1 is not correct and statement 2 is correct. O National Investment Fund NIFO. It was created in 2005. All the proceeds from the disinvestment of center public sector enterprises were to be channelized in this fund. So as per this scheme, 75% of the annual income of the NIF was to be used for financing selected social sector schemes which promote education, health and employment. The residual 25% of the annual income of NIF was to be used to meet the capital investment requirements of profitable and revivable PSUs. This rule was relaxed during global economic slowdown and the GOVT approved 100% NIF income utilization.